Welcome to the online classes of anatomy. I am Dr. A.K. Gupta, Assistant Professor, Department of Anatomy, Government Medical College, Bettiah. Today I will talk to you about vagus nerve. Vagus nerve is the longest and mixed nerve, and it is nerve of the fourth and sixth pharyngeal arches. The functional components are the spatial visceral efferent, general visceral efferent, spatial visceral efferent, general visceral efferent, and general somatic efferent. The nuclei are the nucleus ambiguous, spatial visceral efferent that will passes to supply through the accessory nerve and supplies the muscles of the soft palate. Except except tensor villi palatini, which is supplied by the mandibular nerve. Muscles of the pharynx, except stylopharyngeus, which is supplied by the glossopharyngeal nerve, and intrinsic muscles of the larynx, and striated muscles of the esophagus. Another one is the general visceral efferent, that is the dorsal nucleus, which is parasympathetic and supply the viscera of the head, neck, thorax, and abdomen up to the midgut. Another one is the spatial visceral efferent, which having taste fibers arising from the taste buds present on the epiglottis and posterior most part of the tongue, and fibers passes to the inferior ganglion where the cell body lies, and the central fibers ascend to the nucleus of tractus solitarius. Another one is the general visceral efferent, having the visceral efferents from all these viscera to the nucleus of tractus solitarius. Another one is the general somatic efferent. This carries sensations from the concha of the ear, posterior wall of the external auditory meatus, posterior part of the external surface of the tympanic membrane, and durameter of the posterior cranial fossa. This passes to the superior ganglia, and then central fibers ascend to the nucleus of the spinal tract of the trigeminal nerves. So all these fibers arising from the nucleus ambiguous, nucleus of tractus solitarius, dorsal nucleus, nucleus of spinal tract of the fifth cranial nerve, all passes forwards and laterally and emerges through the posterolateral sulcus as 10 to 12 rootlets between glossopharyngeal rootlets above and accessory rootlets below. Then it passes through the middle part of the jugular foramen along with 9th and 11th cranial nerves. Here lies the superior ganglia, and just below lies the inferior ganglia. Then these fibers descend downwards between the internal carotid artery and internal jugular vein, and behind in the carotid sheath in the lower part between the common carotid artery and internal jugular vein. Now this gives branches, the meningeal and auricular branches to the meninges and the ears, the pharyngeal branches which passes between this superior constrictor and middle constrictor along with the glossopharyngeal nerve into the pharynx to supply the muscles of the palate, pharynx, etc. Another one is the superior laryngeal nerve, which passes towards the larynx and divides into two parts, internal laryngeal and external laryngeal nerve. Internal laryngeal nerve enters into the larynx and supplies the mucous membrane of the larynx above vocal cord, whereas external laryngeal nerve passes downwards to supply the cricothyroid muscles, the only intrinsic muscle supplied by the superior laryngeal nerve. Now the branches are in the neck, cardiac branches, two in the upper part and two in the lower part of the neck. Then in the right side, the vagus gives off right recurrent laryngeal nerve, which hooks around the right subclavian artery, whereas in the left part it hooks around the aortic arch and ascends between the groove of the trachea and esophagus to supply it also gives off recurrent laryngeal nerve. It also gives off branches to the heart, that is the cardiac branch, and these also supply the trachea and esophagus and also supply the cricopharyngeus part of the inferior constrictor. Then it ascends to supply the intrinsic muscles of the larynx and enters into the larynx to supply the mucous membrane of the larynx below the vocal cord. Now the other part passes downwards and gives off pulmonary branch to the root of the lungs to supply the lungs, and other cardiac branches in the thorax also. All these cardiac branches mainly forms the deep cardiac plexus except left inferior branch from the neck, which form the superficial cardiac plexus. Then it also forms cardiac esophageal plexus, the right one forming the anterior esophageal plexus, whereas posterior or esophageal plexus is mainly formed by the left vagus nerve. Then it united to form the anterior and posterior vagal trunks. The anterior vagal trunk supplies the anterosuperior surface of the stomach, pyloric part, etc. Whereas the posterior vagal trunk supplies the posterior inferior surface of the stomach and join the celiac ganglion and plexus. It is important to note that the celiac ganglion is a sympathetic ganglion, so there is no synapse. Actually, the parasympathetic ganglion lies near the organ supply. So from here, superior ganglion, celiac ganglion, it supplies the parts developed from the foregut. That means the stomach and the upper part of the duodenum. Then fibers from the celiac ganglion passes downwards to the superior mesenteric ganglion and plexus. This part supplies the midgut. That means the duodenum, the jejunum, the ileum, the cecum, appendix, ascending colon, and right 2/3 of the transverse colon. That means up to the midgut. So this is about the vagus nerve. The applied anatomy. As you know, in the accessory nerve, there is paralysis of the pharyngeal palatal muscles leading to dysphagia, whereas the paralysis of the laryngeal muscles causes dysphonia. The dysphagia can be also detected by the asking the person to say ah and seeing the movement of the pharyngeal muscles and the palatal muscles, and also tested by the gag reflex touching the posterior wall of the pharynx, that will cause constriction of the pharyngeal and palatal muscles. this paralysis, there is flattening of the palatal arch and there is nasal twang of the voice. When there is irritation of the recurrent laryngeal nerve, that may produce cough. In severe peptic ulcer, there may be vagotomy done to relieve very intractable peptic ulcer. That's all. Thank you.